Hello, and welcome to Digital Storytime with Anna Vernick. Today, we will be talking about Nellie Bly, who changed American journalism for the better. Nellie Bly, whose real name was Elizabeth Jane Cochran, was born in Pennsylvania in 1864. Her childhood was plagued by her father's death and severe financial distress, keeping her from getting a higher education and forcing her to run a boarding house with her mother in order to make ends meet. At age 18, Bly read an editorial piece in the Pittsburgh Dispatch in which the author, Erasmus Wilson, said that women's only duties should be in the home and that working women were monstrosities. Bly was outraged by this and wrote a fierce response to the Pittsburgh Dispatch. The response caught the attention of the newspaper's managing editor, George Madden, who, because of this response, offered Bly a position at the paper. While she was working at the Dispatch, Bly worked to expose women's rights issues. Most notably, she went undercover and exposed the awful conditions women sweatshop workers were facing. This was her first of many pieces of investigative journalism. Unfortunately, the Dispatch soon started limiting Bly's work, moving her to its women's only page. So she looked elsewhere for a job. In 1887, Bly moved to New York City and began working for the New York World, where she was asked to do a piece on a mental institution on Blackwell's Island. To make sure she got the story right, she went undercover and acted as a patient at the facility where she stayed for 10 days, and she uncovered tremendous human rights violations. The expose was a huge success, and it was the impetus for a large-scale investigation of Blackwell Island's mental institution, which resulted in massive changes in the New York City Department of Public Charities and Corrections, permanently improving conditions at medical facilities. She did plenty of other investigative pieces at the New York World, exposing treatment of workers in New York factories, treatment of prisoners in New York jails, corruption in the state legislature, and other accounts of malfeasance. Later, in 1889, Bly made history once again when she traveled around the world in 72 days, 6 hours, 11 minutes, and 14 seconds, breaking the world record and earning her international recognition. Nellie Bly died in 1922 at the early age of 57 years old. Despite her too soon death, Nellie Bly was one of the pioneers of investigative journalism and is, to this day, one of the biggest international feminist icons. Thank you for tuning in to Digital Storytime with Anna Vernick.